Hello, fellow sports fans. Look, it's a bit of a controversial topic talking about quad lock because they are a bit spammy. Once you get on their mailing lists, they just don't stop. But I've been using their stuff for about a year and a half now. I put it on my previous bike, the Multistrada V4S, which unfortunately is now in bike heaven. To pass the time, I bought this, which is it's a Yamaha MT-09. Very good bike. I haven't had any time to really ride it this week. I bought it on Saturday. Funny story. My Multistrada Pikes Peak is here. I didn't expect to see it for another 3 or 4 months, so that's why I bought this. Anyway, so I'm fitting this unit, which is it's a waterproof 12 volt to USB smart adapter. And I thought I'd talk about it for a minute because you have to appreciate the serious amounts of engineering that have gone into this thing to actually make it waterproof and to make it safe for use. The two major features are this works like if you've ever used the newer versions of the Oxford heated grips. It detects, so you plug it into the battery and it detects noise from the engine, right? So line noise on the DC signal, right? And that indicates the engine's running, right? Because it's, the thing's charging up the battery as it's running, and it creates electrical noise. And when the engine is not running, when it's just a steady signal, the bike is off. And this can detect that, right? It's very easy, just measure. It's all to do is it's sensing the amount of noise on the line. And it has a switch on here. It's got on, auto, and off. And so you would just leave it on auto, right? On would drain the battery, right, if it was on an inductive charger, but auto will not drain the battery. And I know that this technology works. I haven't tested this yet. Still have to hook it up to the battery, and I still have to do the phone mount and everything. But I know it works, and it works great. So that's one little piece. And I will say that, the unit itself comes supplied nice and sealed. It connects to standard SAE pigtails. So if you already have a spare one floating around in there for some odd reason, you can just plug it into that. You don't have to wire it into the battery. So that's pretty cool. I really like that. I ran the cable under the tank, which in my current state where my back muscles are a little bit on the sore side from my accident, that was a bit arduous. I will say, I had promised myself since my Panigale days that I would never buy a matte black bike, but I saw this sitting in the showroom floor. And I don't know, all completely matte black bikes really call to me. I think it's because I grew up with Knight Rider as a kid. Anyway, so the other half of this, you see this, it comes off on this side, and it's a USB connection. That is just a normal standard USB connection, but it's got this shroud. And you can see it's got like a little channel in here. And what that is for is it mates with the, I don't know if you can really see it, but you can kind of see it through there. See there's a ribbing inside. It mates with this piece. And if you give me a second, I will just, can't do this with a single hand, so let's prop the phone here. It's probably going to fall on the ground, but I don't care. And what we'll do is we'll just put the shroud on the cable. I have to come at it from the other end, unsurprisingly. Am I doing this right? Let's see. No, that goes like that. Okay, so that's got to go like that. So you got to work that end on. All right. So that gives us this little cable here, right, with this shroud, and the shroud goes. God, I'm trying to do this one-handed. Goes all the way to the end. Come on. Come on. Oh yeah, that's as far as it can go because it's sealed now on the back, right? Pretty much. And then that plugs into your USB like it normally would. And that creates a wonderful watertight seal, or as good as can be. I mean, I'm sure it's probably not going to handle it if you go swimming with your motorcycle, but generally you avoid that anyway. But that will be watertight enough that the connectors won't rust when it rains. I used to have on my previous bikes, I would buy a USB two-port USB thingy, and I'd run it up to the front and I'd plug my phone into it just with the cable on the bottom of the phone. And the only downside, it was exposed to the elements, and those cables would wear out and have to throw them away, replace them, constantly replacing them. And the other problem was that the nice mess in here, I know. The other problem was that the actual socket itself would, rust. It was exposed to, even you cover it, right? You buy the one with a little cover that flips down. Maybe you forget to unplug it when you park up, or for a week or two, and it's just, it doesn't even have to rain. It just it just has to be in the elements for a while. But this plugs into the the inductive charger. It's got the same mechanism here, this mechanical seal that plugs into that. I know that works because I've my last bike I had it. Quad-Lock really has done a fantastic job of just making sure that the entire system does exactly what you want it to do. This is actually a long cable. I think I'm going to go swap it out for the shorter cable because that's it's way too much. I could have just run this cable under the seat, under the tank. But love them or hate them. I definitely. I was annoyed at the sales emails I was getting, and I actually replied to one of them and said, you guys need to knock this shit off. I like your stuff, but it's too much. And I unsubscribed from their shit, but yeah, they're making good stuff. And the other thing they make for your car, they've got the magnetic mount and everything now for the cars. And they have a remote Apple Play things, which this car doesn't support. My Mustang doesn't have remote Apple Play, CarPlay. So I have to physically plug it in every time. But now I'm just going to put a mount in there and just drop the phone on the mount because it's magnetic, and it will start charging because the mount will also have the inductive charger in it, and it'll be plugged into the car. And it will connect to the the wireless CarPlay, and I'll get my maps and everything that I need. Really good ecosystem of components that are really well thought out. I really like this. I think this is it's honestly the dog's bollocks. There's only really one word for it. Brilliant. Good job. If they would just stop, being quite so aggressive. You don't need to send an email every day, guys. Once every 2 weeks is fine. Maybe once even a month. I'm not going to forget that you exist. It's like a needy girlfriend who's every time you're out of contact with her for more than an hour, she's texting you constantly to make sure you're still love her, and that's exhausting. And I've seen multiple people on Reddit complain and say that it's turned them off these products, and these products are the best on the market. So, all right, that's my 10-minute rant on. It's not really a rant. I mean, it's a glowing review, really, isn't it? Yeah, I've used a lot of USB products over the years on 7 or 8 bikes at this point. Always fitted some kind of mounting system and charging system, and This is the best.